Hello, and welcome to the Rockton OmniPrice Demo. OmniPrice is a small but mighty pricing solution for Dynamics GP. We help you solve some of those complex and obscure pricing scenarios that you might run into a time or two in your business. The first thing I like to tell people about OmniPrice is that it sits directly on top of GP standard pricing. So what that means is you don't have to set up pricing for every possible scenario. You only have to set it up for your exceptions to the rule. Otherwise, GP standard pricing takes over from there. So it's really easy to maintain. We provide awesome filtering capabilities so that it's simple and effective for grouping contracts and pricing together so that you don't have to recreate the wheel every time you create a contract. So we're going to start out by showing you guys the navigation. Then we're going to show you how it all gets put together doing a transaction. Here we go. The first thing that's really awesome about OmniPrice is there isn't a whole lot of navigation to learn within the product. If we hover over the little green R, this is where all of your system settings are, as well as where you'll do the majority of all of your setups. To the right is our contract maintenance window. We'll talk more about this in a minute, but this is where you're going to spend the majority of your time. Next to that is our price check window. This gives you an on-demand button that you can click to find out how OmniPrice came up with your special price. And lastly, we have our contract mass update. This is going to allow you to make modifications across multiple contracts at the same time. Really handy if you're trying to set up next year's pricing in advance. All right, let's talk contracts. We're going to open up the contract maintenance window. As I said, this is where you're going to spend the majority of your time, but don't get hung up on the word contract. Think of this as your price sheet or perhaps a special promotion that you guys are offering. It can really be whatever you need it to be, but this is where you're going to set those special exceptions up. To start with, you're going to need to give your contract a name. Then you're going to pick a priority, and we have priorities 1 to 10 available. The purpose of this is to determine if 2 contracts potentially could be in play for a scenario. Which contract should we use? What special price do you want to give to that customer? And we'll always pick the contract with the higher priority. Then we get into our markdown modes. Most commonly, folks will use no markdown, just alter the unit price of the item that they're selling. But we give you options if you would like to code that markdown to a specific GL account or using the default accounts that you already have set up. So you can select whichever option fits your scenario. Then we pick our customers. This contract could be set up for all of your customers. It's a global contract. You could also set this up for one specific customer. Maybe you've got that ultra VIP that needs special pricing for all their items. Use the specified customer for those types of situations. You also have the ability to use a contract based on national accounts or to use a customer filter. These filters offer a lot of power and flexibility for grouping your customers or like customers together. We'll talk about that again in a minute. Then we get into your items. This contract could be set up for all your items or for a specific item. Date ranges. If you don't want to be the person that has to change all of next year's prices at midnight on New Year's Eve and you'd rather watch the ball drop, use a date filter and set up your dates in advance. These are super, super simple to create and give you all of that power, knowing that your price is going to be right every single time. Lastly, we have our additional filters. These are going to pull directly from the sales transaction entry window. We'll talk more about those in just a moment. Once you've determined who this contract applies to, you're going to determine what items do you want to specially price. I'm going to come up and just give this contract a simple name. We're going to call it our demo contract. I'm going to come down to my item and pick one of my items. We'll grab a green phone. Next, I need to determine what pricing mode or method do I want to use to give this a special price. And we have several options to pick from. The first option is the fixed price. This means it's always a static dollar value. Maybe it's always $20. The next option is our fixed adjustment. This is plus or minus a dollar value. So if it's always $5 off for maybe this specific customer, we can set that up here and know that it'll always be $5 off. Then we have our percentages of cost. You can use standard cost or current cost. This is really helpful if you're trying to keep the same price across the whole product at all times. We also have our percentage of list and our percentage of calculated price. When you see calculated price, that means that you can actually create a new price based off of a current price level in GP. So if I want to perhaps give an extra 10% discount to my wholesale price level, I can plug that in using percentage of calculated price. Then we get into our markups on cost as well as our margins on cost. Lastly, we have our discounts off of our list price and that discount off of calculated price. Remember, the calculated price is looking at the price level. And then finally, we have no special price. Scenarios where you might want to use this is maybe you have an item that can never be on sale. Go ahead and mark that if you're in that situation. Once I've determined the pricing mode that I want to use, it's pretty easy from there. So let's start out. We're going to do a pricing mode for a fixed price. I'm going to do a fixed price of $5. Now you'll see that I have additional options where I can add in things like the site ID, the currency, the price level, and the unit of measure, as well as quantity breaks. You're not required to complete any of these fields, but if you want to have those be required, so for example, selling my 100XLG only from a specific warehouse, would they get it for $5? I would want to put that in. Otherwise, if I leave it blank, it's a blank cover for all of my sites, all of my currencies, all of my price levels, and all of my units of measure. We're just going to leave this blank for right now. And let's select one specific customer. We'll come over here and we'll sell this to Breakthrough Telemarketing. We're not going to use a date filter right now, but we'll go ahead and we'll save this contract. We'll call it a pretty high priority, and then we'll go and sell this item. So we'll go out to our sales transaction entry. We'll plug in Breakthrough. And we'll sell that green phone. Once I tab off of the invoice quantity, that's when my unit price is going to change. It's always looking for that quantity break as its last step. As soon as I tab off, my price is changed to $5. Looks like they're getting a really great deal. Now, if I want to see how this price was calculated, I can use our price check window. We'll go ahead and open that window up, and we'll see exactly what price was used and if there were any other contracts available to be used. So we can see the customer information up here, as well as all of our current cost, standard cost, and list price. And this is pulling out of my inventory. I can see I have 2 contracts available. However, you'll notice that they're both set to #1 priority. The reason that we selected, and you can always see that by the green check mark, the reason why we selected the demo contract we just created is because when I initially set OmniPrice up, I always have to decide in the event that 2 contracts have the same priority for the same customer and scenario, do I want the customer to get the higher or the lower price? In my setups, I've set mine to the lowest price. So as we can see, this is $59.95, so the $5 was used. If I wanted to change that on the fly, there is a security option that you can allow your end users to pick a different price from a contract that's available if you want to have that be an option for them. If for some reason they've changed that by mistake and we want to revert it back, you can simply go up to the additional menu and recalculate either the transaction as a whole or just recalculate that line. So if we recalculate this, it will put it back to that $5 price for us. All right, let's go back and look at the filtering. If we pull up our demo contract again, now we can make this for perhaps a filter of customers. So we're going to mark that we want to use customer filter and click on the customer filter ID link. This window gives us options for different ranges of customers. The ranges pull directly from the customer maintenance window, so that customer card. You can pick them by their individual IDs, their names, classes, salesperson, territory, price level, you name it, it's all on here for the customer filtering options. I'm going to create a special customer filter and just pick my VIP customers. So we're going to create a filter based on the customer ID, and we're going to pull in all the customers, A to Z. This gives me the option to be able to hand select who are my VIP customers. I'll insert A to Z and I'll click on the detail button. This gives me the option now to select which customers are those really special ones. So let's go ahead, we'll add breakthrough, and we'll also do Coho and Continental. And we'll save this. Now, if we apply the special filter, these prices are now only applicable to those customers that I selected inside of the special filter. The exact same thing works for items. The item filter has a different set of ranges that'll pull from the item card. So things like the item class, the manufacturer, even some of those user-defined fields are available to pick as item filters. And remember, I mentioned date options. If this special pricing is only effective for a set number of days, let's go ahead and say that this is only good for today. Oops. We'll go to today. We'll insert this. We'll call it July. And we'll add the July filter. Lastly, we have those additional filters that I had mentioned. These are going to pull from the sales transaction entry window for their ranges. These kind of pick up any pieces that we might have missed off of the customers, the items, and the dates. A lot of these are user-defined fields. So if you're running maybe a special trade show promotion where you need a special code to use a discount, this is a great place to make use of those types of scenarios. I'm just going to leave that one off, but let's go ahead now and make this a $6 fixed price, and we'll save the demo contract. Now let's go back to the transaction window, and we'll pick one of those new customers. But keep in mind, this promotional pricing is only good for today. So we need to change that document date. We'll go ahead and do Coho, and we'll sell that green phone again. As soon as we tab off the invoice quantity, there is our special pricing. And if we want to look to see how we got that with our price check window, we can pull it right up. So again, you can see that there were 2 contracts in play for this customer, and the contract that we selected was based on the lowest price available. If you have questions on OmniPrice, or if this is something that it looks like it's going to fit what you need it to do, please reach out to our sales team, sales@rocktonsoftware.com. We'd be happy to discuss any questions or give you a free 30-day trial. Pricing is really unique to every single organization, so we want to make sure that you try this out with your own data and have a chance to test out the different scenarios that you might be coming up against. And always, always reach out to our support team if you have questions. We would love to help you and try to get this to be the easiest pricing solution that you could possibly select for your Dynamics GP. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.